Williams percent R is a momentum indicator that is the exact opposite of the fast stochastics oscillator, which we covered at the beginning of these lessons. It was developed by Larry Williams and is also called simply percent R. It reflects the level of the close relative to the highest high for the look-back period, while stochastics reflects the level of the close relative to the lowest low. Fast stochastics and percent R produce the exact same lines, but only the scaling is different. Now let's go ahead and load up percent R here on this chart for MU at stockcharts.com. In the chart attributes area, go all the way down to the bottom, click in the indicators box, scroll all the way to the bottom. It is the last indicator listed there. The standard parameters are a 14-day look-back period. You can use this indicator for day trading, swing trading, and long-term buy and hold trading by using any time frame on a chart, and you can also modify the parameter slightly higher or lower. Let's go ahead and load up the fast stochastics because it is the exact opposite. Okay, it also has a period of 14,3, which is the signal line. Let's go ahead and click update. Now, Williams percent R set at the 14 period has a reading of minus 26.45, whereas fast stochastics set at the 14 period has a reading at plus 73.55. Okay, so if you add these two together, it's 100. Because fast stochastic ranges from 0 to positive 100, and Williams percent R ranges from 0 down to minus 100. Now, if you'll notice, the lines are exactly alike. The only difference is oversold using Williams percent R is anything below minus 80, while oversold using stochastics is anything under 20. So let's go ahead and get rid of the stochastics because they're almost identical, and we're just going to look at the signals that Williams percent R has. Okay. As a bound oscillator, Williams percent R makes it easy to identify overbought and oversold levels. Anything above minus 20 is considered overbought, and anything under minus 80 is considered oversold. But being overbought, okay, there's a misunderstanding about what overbought means. When a stock is in a serious uptrend, it can remain above the minus 20 line here on percent R for a very long time. Okay, so just because it's overbought does not necessarily mean it's bearish. While generally speaking, you know, anything under minus 80 is oversold and is a chance to buy the dip. Now let's take a look at some of the signals percent R has given on this chart for MU. Okay, first of all, like I mentioned, this was an oversold reading below minus 80. And when it crossed back up through the 80 line and then up through the 50 line right there, the stock did go up. But it had trouble with this resistance area, became slightly overbought above minus 20 and did a pullback. It fell through the 50 line, minus 50 line, down to oversold territory where it bounced a little. And here is your next buy signal. Percent R drops below minus 80, crosses back up through it right about there, and the stock goes up. When it clears the 50 line right here, that is a definite signal right there. It goes all the way to the top above minus 20 and remains overbought for about 2 months. Okay, when it breaks below this level of support and this and that and drops through the 50 line Okay, the stock falls hard. Then here comes your next buy signal when %R drops below -80 and then crosses back up through it, and the stock goes up. Same thing here. Okay, it drops below -80, crosses back up through it. That's the beginning of another uptrend. Now remember, clearing the -50 line is very important, and when it did it, it was just confirmation. Okay, so this is a nice double bottom chart pattern with the first low here, the second low here, and when it broke above neckline resistance right there, it closed right there on this day above it. Volume was pretty good, but then the two big bars of volume was when it broke out into blue sky territory above all levels of resistance. And that's exactly what you want to see, the biggest volume in the last month or so as it's doing a blue sky breakout. Now let's take a look at the signals %R has given on this chart for PHM. Okay, first let's talk about the negatives. The chart pattern right here is a bearish head and shoulders with the head right here, the left shoulder here, and the right shoulder here. And when it broke down through neckline support here and here on this day, the stock fell hard. So your first sell signal came right here as %R was above the -20 line and very overbought. And then when it broke below this level of support, it crashed right through the -50 line and became oversold. So this signal right here was saying it was overbought. It was time for a pullback, and the stock did pull back. Okay, then it became very oversold. It did a nice rally. Here was your buy signal right there. And the stock rallied from roughly about $18 up to $24 and remained overbought this entire period. Just about a month of being overbought. Right here was your sell signal, which came right after the stock formed a double top bearish chart pattern, and when it broke support right there, it fell hard. It bounced up to the old level of support and made it resistance, and when it broke support here, it fell even harder. Okay, it fell right down through the -50 line and became very oversold. Okay, for about 3 weeks. Then it attempted another rally right here, but was rejected at the -50 line right there. And that was right before the stock double topped. This is a bearish double top chart pattern shaped like an M, and when it broke below support here and here, it fell hard. Okay, became oversold again. So resistance, when a stock tries to rally but gets turned back at the -50 line, that is bearish. Okay, your next sell signal came right here when %R crossed up through the -20 line and then back down through it. And the stock falls hard. Now let's look at the buy signals on this chart for MPW. Okay, the stock rallies for months. Then on huge volume, either bad news, profit taking, bad earnings, who knows, it crashes. It loses all support just above the -20 line and crashes through -50 to become oversold. There was the first buy signal. Okay, stock goes up. It clears. It tries to get above -50, dips below it, and then finally breaks above this area of resistance and clears the -50 line to become overbought. That was your secondary buy signal, and the stock goes up. Right here, the stock falls hard. It becomes very oversold for about a month. It finally breaks out above -80 and does a nice little pop. That was basically an oversold rally. Okay, the next time, okay, it goes up. You think it's going to go up because it broke above this resistance, but in 2 days, 3, 4 days, it's back oversold. Then it's rejected at the -50 line again, but when it finally breaks above it and above this area of resistance, the stock takes off. Now let's take a look at the sell signals. After being overbought for a couple of months, MPW finally lost support on all of these lows here at %R, falls through the -50 line and crashes. Same thing here. There is no dip below -20, and when it finally breaks below -20 and down through the -50 line, the stock really goes down again. Here's another one. Percent R is above minus 20. Here's your first warning when it dips below it. It tries to get back above it, and when it breaks support right here and drops below minus 50, the stock goes down.